She reached for his sloppy bow tie and straightened it for him. Her heart beat faster as she worked up the courage to look up at James from this close. "There," she said, and then looked up into those big, brown puppy dog eyes. She might have been imagining it, but she thought she saw him lean forward ever so slightly. There was an emotional tug-of-war going on, and her body was the rope. Fear pulled her back, and love urged her forward. To Lacey's delight, fear was slowly losing ground. Everything stopped. The music and all else faded for several glorious moments. Only James existed in front of Lacey, and Lacey in front of James. "James?" A woman's voice mercilessly shattered the moment. Lacey's heart sank as James looked away from her and to the other woman's voice. The woman walked up to James as if she owned him. Worse yet, he smiled when he saw her and then offered her his arm. She took it as if it was hers to take all along. Water peeked out of the corners of Lacey's eyes, and her heart slowed to a stop as she watched this blonde woman with short-cropped hair and a velvety red dress stomp across her plans and whisk James away in one smooth, curvy canter. Sorry, I'll be right back," James said to Lacey before letting this temptress lead him back into the black and yellow decorated ballroom. Who was this girl to pull James away? Lacey had never seen her before in her life. James had never mentioned her before. Lacey followed the two of them without a second thought. She wasn't going to give up that easily. She didn't make it obvious that she was following them. She gave them plenty of distance, but always made sure to keep a line of sight. They made their way to the back of the party to a private table hidden behind a large black and yellow thank you sign for Dendron. Lacey didn't want to get caught spying, so she sat on a stool and stayed at the granite bar, far enough back where she could see them, but the finely dressed crowd would obscure her. The cumulative voice of the crowd around her drowned out James and the blonde woman too well to hear anything. The blonde woman unapologetically pulled something out of her cleavage and handed it to James. A piece of paper. James unfolded it and read it. When he was done, his face had fallen, his goofy grin faded, and his expression turned to confusion. He looked up at the blonde woman, then crumpled the note and shoved it in his pocket. Well, he tried to shove it in his pocket, but in a very James way, it still sloppily peeked out. After a little more conversation and a few conspiratorial looks around the room, James got up with the blonde woman and they left. While James was standing up, the note fell out of his pocket and onto the floor. Neither one noticed. Lacey followed them with her eyes. They were headed to leave the party already. James hadn't even said goodbye to Lacey, and he was already leaving. That wasn't like him. What was in that note that would make him do that? When she felt safe to do so, Lacey snuck to the table where James had sat and picked up the note. She unfolded it, and it read, "The 12th name has been chosen. James Tuck. We leave tonight." Lacey looked up from the note to James. As he walked out the door, he looked back to lock eyes with Lacey from all the way across the room. Even from here, she could read that scared expression as he mouthed the words, "Save me," to her. That was all she needed to take action. She kicked off her heels and bolted towards him. Her dress tore from her powerful strides, but she didn't care. James needed her. She made it to the exit in record time, knocking over several people on the way, but it wasn't enough. James ducked into a black car next to the blonde woman, and the car peeled off as soon as he closed the door.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.